Round 7 of the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series will be getting underway in less than 8 minutes. It's the Fisher Studios 150 at the Brickyard, held at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a 2-mile rectangular-shaped oval which has hosted races for nearly 100 years. And today, some of the best drivers in the series will duke it out for 60 laps in the midday to see who will kiss the bricks at Indy. I'm your producer and lead commentator, River Page, and I hope you enjoyed the show today. A great car and track combination should produce great racing, as we have seen in all the races in the SCRL Truck Series prior to this. And as we could see now, currently leading the practice time wars is Jordan Kuntz with a time of 53.253. Right behind him is Carter Casey in second with a 53.314, and Matthew Weeks in third with a time of a 53.330. Jordan Kuntz is back on top again. Not the first time that we've seen him leading in practice, and yet again he is in the top spot. Now, as we start to creep towards the end of the regular season here in the Redline Truck Series, all drivers will be pushing for every position throughout the race, as some drivers needing good runs today to stay close to contention for a spot in the chase for the championship. Drivers like Cameron Perez and William Smith just sit just outside of the top 16 in the points, and with that, they're the first two drivers outside of the cutoff line, 17 and 18 points back respectively. Towards the front of the standings, however, Lane Graves, Jordan Kuntz, Coney Webster, Mike Rosero, and Eric Heater fill out the top 5 in the chase standings as the five drivers with race wins so far through 6 races in this series. As we see now, the playoffs leader is the number 16 machine, who is the 13 machine of Lane Graves, who currently sits 14th in practice, as we see a very big wreck off of turn number 4. But the points leader and the playoff leader, with 2 wins already on the season, is locked in to that championship, or has a position in the playoffs, which will give him a shot at the championship. So he will not be worried about having all of those drivers ahead of him taking spots away.
Qualifying getting underway indeed, River. We got the blue stuff on the board right now, so if you want the viewers to look, just want to let you know, we keep that going. As we get the race started, got to thank River Page coming in tonight. Make sure that everyone can see the screen as qualifying is indeed underway. Got to thank you all for stopping by already. As we're getting things going here in the Stock Car Racing, I hope to be back in about an hour or so as River takes it from here. Just make sure the viewers can see it real quick, and we'll be good to go.
On my end, so I do apologize for that. Now, with just around 5 minutes left in this practice session, Jordan Kuntz still on top and has started racing in that race. Sitting on the end of the road, not really worried about playing in the comfortably a lot of the pace of the practice as we've seen now. Very close to being Jordan Kuntz, just under his own as he peels off practicing racing enemies. Necessary later in this race, we've seen in this series time and time again. currently Jordan Kuntz, who leads practice with a time of 53.253. In second is Carter Casey with the 53.314. Third, Matthew Weeks just behind him with a 53.330, and then Cameron Perez with a 53.381. Micah Rosero just behind him with a 53.395. Eric Cuter with a 53.407. Luke Peters just 2/1000ths of a second behind Eric Cuter in seventh with a 53.409. Rick Spencer Walt with a 53.433 in eighth. Aaron Brown with a 53.461, and in 10th is Vinny Tigner with a 53.488. The rest of the field is as follows. The playoff leader Lane Graves in 11th with a 53.517. Sam Benson in the 12 machine with a 53.511. In 13th is Cody Webster with a 53.571. 14th is Brian Rousseau, the number 3 with a 53.654. And 15th is Davis Lewis with a 53.724. Mike Campbell sits 16th with a 53.757. In 17th is Corey Rexford with a 53.794. 18th, Alec Daffin in the 48 machine with a 53.814. And then Robert S. King with a 53.937. And Kyle Jackson rounds out your top 20 with a 54.003. Talon Drake at 21st with a 54.106. Jordan Parker with a 54.136. Joseph Jara in 23rd in the 42 machine with a 54.192. Kalen Kerman, the final car to set a lap here in practice with a 54.192. As now they all get moved back by Bryce Saucier, who takes the 21st spot with a 54.103. And just one car who has yet to set a lap is Ryan Kendrick in the number 77, the 26th car in the field. And now just about a minute left in practice. And as practice is about to get wrapped up, drivers starting to peel back into the pits and prepare for qualifying, where they will have 5 minutes to get on track and set the best lap they can. After practice, we will see the drivers head back out onto the track for a 5-minute warm-up session to perfect their lines and adjust to the slightly different track temperature as the day goes on and it gets warmer. During the race, the drivers will have 3 extra sets of Goodyear tires to throw onto their trucks. And after a run, they'll have 70% of fuel load to begin the race. 3 green white checkered attempts are available here today, and as we've seen in the real-life NASCAR competition at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, wrecks late in the race will breed more cautions, especially with the tight surface on the front stretch. And now, as the checkered flag waves for practice, the session is over, and qualifying will get underway in just about 3, 2, and 1 seconds, and we'll see if the 00 of Jordan Kuntz can continue his stretch of pole positions now. Qualifying gets underway. His drivers will enter the track very shortly. And now we see Jordan Kuntz onto the track, along with Robert King and a few others. Jordan Kuntz going back into his garage to, assuming, make changes to his setup, and now back onto the racetrack. And it is Jordan Kuntz, the 00, practice winner with the fast time. And just as he did last week, going to go for the practice and qualifying sweep. And exiting pit road, a long pit road exit all the way through 1 and 2 on the inside of the banking. Jordan Kuntz running it a little bit wide. And as we look towards the back of the field, Robert S. King, the next car out on the racetrack, following the 00. Cameron D. Perez and Carter Casey also on the track. Cameron Perez yet to leave pit road. The rest of the field files out. Jordan Kuntz going to be the first driver, it appears, to take the green flag. Bryce Saucier exiting pit road along with Luke Peters. And the rest of the field will follow. As here is Jordan Kuntz coming out of turn 4. The pole sitter for last week's event. We want to keep our eye on him as he exits turn number 4, comes down the front stretch here in Indianapolis, and he will take the green flag for his first attempt at the pole time. Down into turn 1. See these drivers driving it very deep indeed. Not a lot of braking needed for these trucks. And he's going to power through turns number 1 and 2, exiting through the short chute, maybe scraping the wall and getting a contact point, which would make his lap not count, but I'm not sure. It was very close there as he exits turn number 2. And down the back straightaway, carrying lots of speed in that nitro number 00 Ford F-150. Entering turn number 3 is Jordan Kuntz. Now getting all the way down right onto that curb on the apron, using up all of the track. Very quick indeed for Jordan Kuntz. And down the second short chute and final short chute into turn number 4 and exiting turn number 4. Jordan Kuntz comes off. He'll be the first car to set a lap And we'll see what he can do with it as he comes down just about 180 miles an hour as he crosses the yard of bricks. It's a 53.400 for Jordan Coots, top of the chart so far. Or excuse me, it's a 53.416, and that lap did count, even with the contact with the outside wall. And now, Robert S. King setting a lap along with Carter Casey. Eric Heater into second, with Aaron Brown in third. And Jordan Coots onto his second lap now, trying to improve on his first with a 53.416 yet again. It's a very quick lap indeed for Jordan Coots, followed by Eric Heater, almost 2 or more than 2 seconds, or 2/10 off of the pace. And they open these intervals here. 11 cars have set a lap so far, 11 trucks I should say, and rounding out of turn 4 into the wall goes Jordan Coots, and that will render this lap useless and invalidated, and he will finish qualifying with a 53.416. Luke Peters took over the second spot from Eric Heater on his first lap, and now trying to close in on Jordan Coots, who made a mistake on his second lap, and I would assume that with the temperature buildup on the first lap, the second lap is going to be the one you want to use. And now Michael Rosero is going to take over the second spot as we watch Luke Peters try and take it back, or maybe get to the pole on Jordan Coots as we've seen him do before. Exiting turn number 4 is Luke Peters, and down the front stretch for his second lap as he comes down right against the wall, underneath Barty the Flagman and across the yard of bricks. Is it going to be pole for the number 4 machine? It is not. He's going to stay in fourth. And now, as him and Michael Rosero both lost spots to the current points leader Lane Graves, he, on his second lap in the B3 Designs machine, trying to go back-to-back after his win at Nashville, scraping the wall, entering turn number 3 is Lane Graves. Now down the short chute and into turn 4. We'll see if he can dethrone Jordan Coots, trying not to let him have that pole yet again. It looks like it might happen, as getting away from the wall, trying not to have any reduction of speed, crossing the line at 179 miles an hour, and Lane Graves cannot do anything with it, as that lap would be rendered invalidated by the contact with the outside wall, and he will hang on to the second spot. Jordan Coots still is in first, however, and Lane Graves is still in second. A couple of cars still on track, finishing up their laps. Matthew Weeks sitting in pit road. Rick Spencer Walt, who has just completed his lap, a little bit of right side damage. Looks like he pushed that truck a little too hard and to its limits, and now 22 trucks have completed a lap. 2 trucks on the track still. It'll be Davis Lewis and Cody Webster, 2 trucks still on track who have not set a lap, as Davis Lewis is on his second lap, and he's going to do his best to get up to his teammate in the number 13 machine of Lane Graves. As now we see Cody Webster. He's going to take over that 4th spot right at the end of the session, but qualifying is over. And we will show you your starting grid here today at Indianapolis shortly. As back on the pole is Jordan Coots yet again. And doing what he does best, as we will put up the starting grid here. And it's Jordan Coots on the pole ahead of Lane Graves in the number 13 machine, the points leader. And Lane Graves with a 53.460, just not enough to beat Jordan Coots' 53.416. Starting in the 3rd position, second on the inside of the lane, is Michael Rosero with a 53.466. Just behind him is Cody Webster with a 53.476, and the number 91 machine sitting in P4. In P5 is Michael Rosero's teammate Luke Peters with a 53.480, and next to him, league owner Cameron Perez with a 53.534. The number 24 machine that will put him P number 6. And as we get to P number 7, Matthew Weeks with a 53.550 in the number 11 Toyota. It's Eric Heater in P8 with a 53.553. Starting 9th, 5th on the inside lane will be Rick Spencer Walton in the number 97 machine with a 53.562, and Aaron Brown with a 53.623. Rounding out the rest of the field, Sam Benson with a 53.668, and Vinny Tigner in the number 99 Toyota or Chevrolet with a 53.689. And 13th, Lee Carter Casey, the number 1 machine, and Talon Drake in 14th. Both drivers just behind the ones in front of them. Talon Drake, the first car, into the 53.8s. Alec Daffin starts P15 after his heartbreak at Atlanta, trying to get some vengeance here. Starts 15th, though it's going to be tough for him with a 53.852. Mike Campbell with a 53.889. We get the rest of your grid here. P17 is Brian Russo with a 53.940, and Corey Rexford with a 53.046 in the O-frame machine. He will be P18. 19th is Kyle Jackson in the number 96, who turned a 54.064, and Robert King, who turned a 54.246. In the position number 21 is Bryce Saucier with a 54.364, and Jordan Parker with a 54.708 will line up in 22nd. In 23rd is Kalen Kierman, who will be last of the drivers that set a lap here in Indianapolis with a 54.892 in 23rd. In 24, in the 24th position will be Ryan Kendrick, the first driver who did not set a lap, Davis Lewis, Joseph Jara, and those are the three drivers that did not set a lap. And that is your starting grid today at Indianapolis. We'll get the ticket up shortly here. As the drivers, you hear them driving around out on the track right now. During this warm-up session, they have 5 minutes to, again, like I said earlier, perfect their lap times and see what they can do better than they did in the qualifying and practice sessions. Brian Russo is currently in P1 here in this warm-up session with a 54.296. And that's going to put him first with Sam Benson and Robert King, the only three drivers who have set a lap so far. Is just 1.5 minutes left here in this warm-up session for these drivers to again perfect their laps, work on any critiques they have of themselves now. As Lane Graves, the points leader, will go P1 of the 13, followed by Mike Campbell, who is in second now. The number 10 machine. So we'll watch these drivers out in a pack for the second time here since practice back on the track with other drivers. And now just a minute left. See if anyone can dethrone now Lane Graves, the leader in the session. Carter Casey out on the track along with Matthew Weeks, a couple of drivers who have had great finishes recently, looking for wins on the season. Along with guys like Ryan Kendrick now, one of the drivers who is farther in the back, see if he can work on his lap time and get up to the front. And that number 77 Toyota will be the 6th driver to complete a lap time here. There's just 30 seconds left in the session, and I don't think anyone else is going to really have time to put one down. Back at Matthew Weeks in pit road along with Carter Casey, out on track going through turn number 2 and exiting turn number 2. Here he won't have enough time to get back to the start-finish line, but Ryan Kendrick, Sam Benson, Brian Russo, and Mike Campbell all setting new fast laps in this session. They will go 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th as the 8 cars who have set a lap now: Lane Graves, Eric Heater, Michael Rosero, Mike Campbell, Brian Russo, Sam Benson, Robert King, and Ryan Kendrick. As the checkered flag waves in the warm-up session, drivers exiting the track now. We will get this race underway as they'll hit the grid at Indianapolis. As the session completes now, the grid will open up for lap 0 of 60, and they will get underway for the 60-lap event, 150 miles at the Brickyard. Jordan Kuntz grids first in the number 00 machine. He is on pole yet again, we said. Back-to-back poles and back-to-back wins in practice, so very quick early in the race. We've seen from Jordan Kuntz again, and he's done it yet again. And ahead of Lane Graves, who was last week's winner, in second, Michael Rosero third, Cody Webster in fourth, all drivers who have won races. Luke Peters, Cameron Perez, both looking for wins, and Cameron Perez, who is one of the drivers who is underneath the cut line right now in the 17th position, just 17 points behind that cut line. He is looking for a great result today, and with that 6th starting position, he's got a great chance to do just that. As the rest of the field grids up, they'll have about a minute left here to get onto the grid and make the start of this race. As you see Cody Webster on the track, along with Matthew Weeks in 7th. Now Michael Rosero is going to get onto the track, the 2nd car on the inside line, behind Jordan Kuntz, the pole sitter. Lane Graves out onto the track, Luke Peters onto the track, and now we wait for Rick Spencer Wall, Aaron Brown, Sam Benson, Carter Casey, Talon Drake, and a couple others in the back of the field to enter the grid before we can get this race underway here on the Brickyard. Jordan Kuntz still waiting ahead of the rest of the field behind the pace car. We'll get underway shortly. Just a couple drivers still yet to get onto the grid as we wait for them to hit the track here and get this race undergo. There's the drivers sitting idling, still waiting for the rest of the field to grid up as Jordan Coots first now. You can hear him going into first gear. The rest of the field has entered the grid. Jordan Parker and Joseph Jara will not make the start of this race. They qualified 22nd and 26th respectively. And Aaron Brown, Sam Benson also not on the racing surface. The 10th and 11th machines is now, looks like they will make it on. And the field pulls off behind that pace truck and entering turn 1 side by side. 13 rows deep is this field as they hit the high banks here at Indianapolis behind that Chevrolet Silverado truck, and Jordan Kuntz is going to lead them to green here, looking for another win on the season to match the guy to his outside in second. Lane Graves got his second win last week at Nashville. Jordan Kuntz looking for his second win as well. That would put him, I believe, to first in the standings as he sits second right here behind Lane Graves with 2 wins on the season. Cody Webster, Michael Rossero, and Eric Heater, the other 3 with race wins, as they sit scattered behind these guys throughout the field. Vinny Tigner, Alec Daffin, and Matthew Weeks, the 3 drivers who are up there behind the 5 race winners in the point standings, sitting respectively and comfortably above the cut line. And the drivers who behind the cut line, Cameron Perez and William Schmidt, looking for points today. William Schmidt did not make this race, so I believe his playoff chances could end with that unless he could capture a win later in the season. But it's definitely not over for the 24 machine of Cameron Perez, who is still for his first win on the season. So the pace truck lights are off, I believe. The truck will come down pit road this time, and he takes the hard left turn onto pit road, and Jordan Kuntz will lead this field into the restart zone. A very big split as those drivers in the back hang back, and now the green flag is out and we're underway in Indianapolis. Jordan Kuntz leads Lane Graves and Michael Rossero down into turn 1. Rossero's going to try and take second now as the 91 merges down to the inside lane. That is Cody Webster, who's going to try and take third from Lane Graves, who fights Michael Rossero, and Jordan Kuntz is going to get away early in the 004, now side by side all the way behind your race leader. Michael Rossero is going to clear Lane Graves for second, and now everyone getting single filed out, but drivers still trying to make moves. Cameron Perez in the back of this main pack looking for moves for 4th, 5th, and 6th, as now he's going to go down to the bottom with Cody Webster. Those guys will race for 4th, and they're side by side now. This is going to be the 41's teammate, Luke Peters, in 5th on the start of the race, now trying to hang on to the 5th position as he feels the pressure from Cameron Perez, but that will complete lap number 1 as they exit turn 4. And it's Jordan Kuntz, Lane Graves, and Michael Rossero 1, 2, 3. As Lane Graves is going to lose a spot, Michael Rossero is going to gain a spot. Cody Webster dropping back into the 6th position, but it's Cameron Perez up 2 spots early, looking for all those points that he can get ahead of Luke Peters and Cody Webster now. As they head the way through turn 2 and out of turn 2, there's Jordan Kuntz, your race leader. As he's driving down into turn 3, ahead of the rest of the field, and all of these guys scattered everywhere, still searching for position, but it's still the 4 of Luke Peters on the outside, jostling for position with the 91 of Cody Webster, and Eric Heater in the 28 is going to get by him as Luke Peters starts to slowly fall back out on that top lane here, and losing spots indeed he is, but now it's going to put the 11 of Matthew Weeks next to him, and the 4 will continue to lose spots. Is going to be stuck on the outside again here into turn 1, but running away with the lead is Jordan Kuntz in the 00. Comfortable gap already, about a half a second back to Michael Rossero. And as we see here now, 0.6 of a second is the gap between Rossero and Kuntz. Rossero getting a bit of a better exit down off of turn 2 into the draft. And it's Lane Graves in 3rd, about the same gap between Rossero as it is to Graves. Cameron Perez is way back, about almost 2 seconds behind the race leader, as we see 3 wide further back in the field. That's Rick Spencer Walt on the top, his teammate, I believe Carter Casey in the 1 machine, and Alec Daffin on the bottom in the 48. Big jostling for position. Vinny Tigner in the Quaker State number 99, also trying to make a move, jostling for position here, and he's going to try and get all he can get. That Shaw Racing number 48 is going to have the preferred line going out into turn 1, still side by side with, I believe, the 1 of Carter Casey. And the enter turn 1, Carter Casey is going to have to give up that position and get to the bottom line. And he will settle for, I believe that is the 11th position. 12th position is what Carter Casey is going to have there. Move back up to the lead battle. And still a 6/10 gap for Michael Rosero back to Jordan Kuntz, who just is going to be able to ride here, and all that clean air he's got, save his tires. Michael Rosero making up a bit of time here. I'll be pushing it early to try and get the clean air in the lead from Jordan Kuntz as he makes him about 1/10 of a second through turns 3 and 4, and now exits turn 4. He's going to be a lot closer than he was last time by, that's for sure. 5.7, or it's going to be 0.56 seconds behind, and Mercero closing quickly in the draft. Lane Graves about 1.3 seconds behind. Cameron Perez just under 2 seconds behind the race leader, back down into turn 1. Mike Mercero making up time very quickly indeed on Jordan Kuntz as they make their way through 1 and 2 yet again. It's Jordan Kuntz out in front, not facing any charge from Mike Mercero as he starts to fall back yet again. No defense needed for Jordan Kuntz as now he leads over Mike Mercero. About a 6/10 gap back to that number 41 machine. Then it's Lane Graves, 1.4 seconds back from your leader in 3rd. Cameron Perez in 4th, and sitting with that 24 machine is Cody Webster, just a bit behind him, about a half a second to Cody Webster from Cameron Perez as we look back towards behind this top 5. Eric Huter, Matthew Weeks, Luke Peters, these guys that were battling early have found their way into a single file line, and no real double file racing, I should say, all the way until you get to the back of the field with, I believe, that is the 11 machine back there, racing hard for position, or rather the 10, but let's get back to the front of the field. Jordan Kuntz still comfortable gap, now pulling away almost 0.8 of a second ahead of Michael Rosero. A lot of pace for Jordan Kuntz as Rosero made a charge a couple laps ago, but it fell off very quickly, and now he's losing time to the driver ahead of him and the driver behind him in Lane Graves, the points leader, who tries to run down Michael Rosero through turn number 3, and he's going to make up some more time. Cameron Perez 2 seconds back. Another driver that we've been talking about who needs points right now to get above that cut line, and he's doing just that right here, running in 4th ahead of Cody Webster in 5th. And it's a very smooth sailing for the rest of the pack. All single file except for very far back in the field. That's Kyle Jackson, I believe. Or driver's just ahead of him. Ryan Kendrick in the 77 was one of them. Davis Lewis in the 16, who is teammates with the points leader. They're side by side with Bryce Saucier, but they have gotten all single filed out now. And no real battling from here on back, as it's still Jordan Kuntz with a 7/10 or so gap to Mike Rosero, who consistently seems to just be losing time and then making it back up, as the gap is only 6/10 now, as it was 8/10 at this part of the track last lap. Lane Graves also making up some time on your race leader, 1.3 seconds, but Cameron Perez and Cody Webster dropping back ever so slightly per lap as they exit turn number 4. Jordan Kuntz still with a comfortable lead, 7/10 of a second. Back to Mike Rosero, Lane Graves, Cameron Perez, and Cody Webster, the top 5. All very spread out indeed. Already 8 laps into this race, we'll see tires fall off start to become a factor, and we'll start to see green flag pit stops rather become a factor. Maybe after like 30 laps in or so, these guys are going to start pitting, and it's going to be very interesting to see if we get a caution before that. And I don't know if we're going to get a caution at this rate because of how spread out everybody is. It's going to be a strategy game, just like Atlanta was. Jordan Kuntz continues to pull away from Mike Rosero and Lane Graves. Cameron Perez in 4th with number 24 machine, looking for points in, getting them in the 4th spot, trying to hold off Cody Webster. That gap is closed as Cody Webster tries to make up time on Cameron Perez, as you see those two go by right now. And coming back to the finish line is Jordan Kuntz, crossing the line first. 8/10 back to Mike Rosero, 1.4 seconds back to Lane Graves, Cameron Perez, Cody Webster crossing the line very close indeed. a close battle between Alec Daffin and Carter Casey for 10th as we watch these guys go side by side. Alec Daffin started farther back than he would have liked to. I believe he was back in the 15th spot where he started, and now making up a lot of time. That's going to put him 9th over Carter Casey. Now he will try to run down Luke Peters with a very big gap indeed, almost 2 seconds in between the two. We see a battle starting to heat up here between Cameron Perez and Cody Webster. Webster making up a lot of time on Perez as he tried to make time on Graves earlier in the race. Maybe what he should have done is the 91 starts to make up time on the 24 as they come down here off of turn number 4. He's crossing the line yet again. It is Jordan Kuntz with your race lead. And back into turn number 1. Still 8/10 to the 41 of Mike Rosero. And Elaine Graves in third, comfortably hanging out in the top 3 positions. No charge from behind them as Cameron Perez is the one feeling the heat on his rear bumper. As Cameron Perez gets into the wall very hard, that's going to be a lot of right side damage, and it opens up the door for Cody Webster to go to the inside, and that's going to give the Patronus number 91 the 4th position very easily indeed, as Eric Heater watches this happen right ahead of him. And now, as he saw that little incident unfold, he knows the 24's damage has a run going to go to the bottom on Cameron Perez, and suddenly Perez, who was comfortably in 4th, now damage to the right side and dropping to 6th as we see Eric Heater blinking out a little bit in front of them. Matthew Weeks just behind this battle, also looking for positions. The 24 starts to fall off dramatically here on Jordan Kuntz. Back to the front, this top 3 starting to really pull away. Over 2 seconds between Lane Graves and Cody Webster, about 2.5 seconds right here. They go back down into turn number 1. And out of turn 1, down into turn 2. See Lane Graves, one of the guys that's now starting to make up time on Rosero and Kuntz. It was about 1.4 seconds earlier in this race is what that gap was at. And now, Lane Graves just within a second, making up some time as we get to the middle of this run. As you see, he's about to put the pressure on Mike Rosero for second here. Maybe a scrape of the wall going down into turn 3, but nothing too bad. And now, back into the 6th position is Matthew Weeks as Cameron Perez loses yet another spot, but Perez is going to try and fight back. Maybe looking for a lunge down to the inside into turn number 4, but nothing's going to unfold with that. And the 11 of Matthew Weeks is going to hang on. As now we see one driver coming into pit a little earlier than I would have expected, but not that many laps here at this 2-mile oval, and it's the 91 car. And it's going to be very interesting indeed to see who else is going to pit. As into the pits comes Cody Webster, no one else coming with him. And this may be an early strategy call, but it may also be unexpected, as we see the leader still comfortably out on track, and I don't know if that's a strategy call. We're going to see these guys come in very, very soon. As now Mike Rosero is starting to back up, as Lane Graves is going to go for a move, and he is making up a lot of time as Lane Graves is going to go to the bottom down into turn 3. The B3 Designs Chevrolet looking for 2 wins in a row as he goes to the inside of Mike Rosero. Side by side, door to door, wheel to wheel into turn number 3 is Graves and Rosero. Rosero on the top lane, but Graves with the preferred line is going to get the run up for 4, and he's going to try and clear the 41. And all the way down the track is Rosero chasing him down to get into the draft. And that loses both of them a lot of time. 1.1 seconds now Jordan Kuntz has on the rest of the field. And these two, still with about 3 seconds back to 4th of Eric Heater, where these guys are going to have a lot of time to jostle for position, but Lane Graves has got a lot of pace in that Chevrolet, and he's going to try and make up as much time as he can on Jordan Kuntz before this run is over. Look back to the end of the pack is Cody Webster, who just exited pit road. He sits 25th, only one driver behind him, and that's the 08 of Kalen Kerman. And Webster now is going to have a lot more pace than these guys on those fresh tires, but will it pay off as we see no one else even in the same time zone as him? As these guys down the back straightaways, he goes down the front stretch. And you can see Jordan Kuntz, I believe, just behind him, exiting turn 4. Yeah, Jordan Kuntz almost lapped him as they went through the pit cycle, but it's not going to happen. And Jordan Kuntz, Lane Graves, and Mike Rosero very spread out. Lane Graves pulled away from Rosero a lot last lap. Wonder if something might have happened to the 41 machine, but nevertheless, still into the 3rd spot is Mike Rosero, trying to see if there's any damage possibly on that truck as he comes through turn number 2. Now exiting turn number 2 is Rosero. No trouble seems to be on that number 41 machine, so just maybe lost some time to him to Lane Graves, that is, and now dropping back even more. But Eric Heater comfortably in 4th, right behind Michael Rosero, who's comfortably in that 3rd spot. Matthew Weeks in 5th, stretching the gap between the 4 of Luke Peters, but not quite enough to be comfortable in that spot. We look back to Cameron Perez in 7th, who, after losing spots with damage, has kind of evened out with his pace with the rest of the field. But now the teammates of Carter Casey and Vinny Tigner looking in behind them, the 1 and the 99. The Chevrolets about to go to battle with the Shaw Racing number 24 as they cross the line 7th, 8th, and 9th. Both drivers making up a lot of time on Cameron Perez, but that right side damage he's got. And now that one truck might look to the inside as Carter Casey, a lot more pace in him, and he's going to get those left side tires on the curb. Through turn 1, out through turn 2, easing in, and not getting as low as the guys behind him is Cameron Perez, and then maybe hurting him out of the corners. Now to the bottom goes Carter Casey. His teammate is going to try and follow him through, as down the back straightaway, even as they are, the 1 and the 24 side by side, going into turn number 3. Now Vinny Tigner is going to follow the 1 through, and Cameron Perez is going to have no defense, or is he? Is he going to get almost into the door of the 99? As these guys fighting very hard indeed as they go through turns number 3 and 4. The 99 now looking to the bottom on Cameron Perez. Is he going to have the spot? Not quite, but he's going to get the momentum off the corner. Perez is going to clear him and get back into the draft of the 1, which is going to save him from losing time down the straightaway with that right side damage. Now the 99 trying to look a little lower. Still not able to get there. And now looking a little lower into the corner, but no move able to be made. These two still fighting very hard. The 99 is going to have a big run off of turn 1. Nowhere to go with it. Now dives to the bottom. And it looks like the 24 of Cameron Perez may just give it up here. As they head through turn number 2, Cameron Perez gives up the spot and falls to 9th. So not the start Cameron Perez would have wanted, as he was in 4th earlier, but now dropping all the way back to 9th. And feeling the pressure from Aaron Brown and Sam Benson. These two hanging out in the 10th and 11th positions. We've got a battle between Sam Benson and Alec Daffin. The 48 still making up positions with that farther back start that he would have wanted. And he's going to get around the 12 easy peasy and take the spot and clear him very quickly. A lot of damage on that motorcraft number 12. No fight able to be put up as there's a bit of contact with the wall for, I believe, Talon Drake, or Mike Campbell rather, ahead of him. As we see a couple cars peeling off in the pit road. I believe the 97 of Rick Spencer Walt is the car on pit road, and it is. It's the 97 machine, as he will pit, and I don't think anyone else will come with him, so we'll see how this plays out for the 97. As he enters his pit box all alone, he's going to drop very far behind his teammate Cody Webster in the 91, who still sits in 24 for the 25 cars competing in the race. As we go lap 17 here, these guys maybe we'll start to pit now. I'm not quite sure what the strategy game is going to be like with Jordan Kuntz here, the race leader. I think if he goes in, they're going to follow him in, but he hasn't gone in quite yet. And these top 4 is really pulling away. You see the gap between Eric Heater and Matthew Weeks over 3 seconds. And these 4 have been the class of the field so far. Jordan Kuntz has led every single lap and doing his best to hang on to that gap between Lane Graves, which is slowly but surely been closing Lane Graves into a 7/10 of a gap, or 7/10 of a second gap rather, and now making it into a 6/10 of a second gap as they come out of turn 2, right next to the number 97 of Rick Spencer Walt exiting pit road. Number 97 is going to be side by side with the race leader. Another car on pit road was Kyle Jackson, with a lot of damage on Kyle Jackson's machine. Going to go a lap down easily, as the 00 is going to clear the 97, but now for turn 4, Rick Spencer Walt's going to try and get that lap back, and that may in turn slow down Jordan Kuntz and give Lane Graves the advantage that he needs to try and pounce on the race leader. As to the inside goes the number 97 machine. Rick Spencer Walt now gets back on line, has nothing for him. And if I'm Jordan Kuntz here, just going to let him by. Don't want to race the lap car, but very respectful is the number 97 of Rick Spencer Walt, giving up a lot of time just to not race the leader. But now into the wall, slightly goes Jordan Kuntz, ever so slightly touches the wall. And Lane Graves making up a lot of time indeed, as the number 97 went for the move. And the 00 gets into the wall, but now he's going to slap back into position, pulling away a little bit from Lane Graves, so crisis averted for the race leader. So you see a couple of guys, Kyle Jackson with damage, the number 85 exiting pit road now. Is that Robert King? Jordan Parker, also a guy now on pit road, and number 65. And Kalen Kerman, who is 2 laps down. riding around, I believe, is already pitted in that 08 machine, but nonetheless, back to the front of the field, it's Jordan Kuntz with a 0.4 of a second gap over Lane Graves, but Lane Graves has the run on him. And these guys are very close, but Eric Heater has taken third while we looked away. Eric Heater got the third position for Michael Rosero, so we'll see how he did that here as he goes to the inside. Looks like into turn 3 as this battle was very heated up, and the 28 was a lot quicker than the 41. Looks like right here, going through turns number 3 and 4, the 28 down the back straightaway is going to go for a move on the inside. And he's going to complete it very easily. And now, away, going back into turn 3 yet again from the 41. But Lane Graves closing the gap to Jordan Kuntz. When will these guys pit? Can Lane Graves get the lead beforehand? And the B3 Designs number 13. And now Jordan Kuntz is going to peel off to the left of the 13 machine, and onto pit road goes Jordan Kuntz, and with him comes Eric Heater and Michael Rosero. We'll see who else comes in. Matthew Weeks stays out, but everyone behind him electing to pit as you see all those drivers coming into pit road. The only two that stay out look to be Alec Daffin and the one truck behind him. I believe that is the one truck of Carter Casey who stayed out. I don't know, Carter Casey on pit road, and everybody comes in with the leader. And Lane Graves staying out. We'll see if this is going to gain or lose some time. If he's trying to do an overcut, maybe make it to the lap 30 mark and only have to pit one time. As the B3 Designs red and white number 13 machine makes his way down the back straightaway, just ahead of the lap truck, that's the 12. And now, all by himself, 7 seconds ahead of Matthew Weeks and 12 seconds ahead of Alec Daffin. And all the guys who pitted earlier are now going to file out. 30 seconds or so behind the leaders. You see the 91 of Cody Webster, 31 seconds. He's the first car on fresh tires. Pitted maybe 5 laps ago, and this strategy could play into his hands very well. You see how far behind the 00 is to the 91 of Cody Webster. Almost a straightaway gap. In between the two is Jordan Kuntz on the newest tires on the track. Eric Heater follows him out. A gap of about maybe 3 seconds between those guys. Michael Rosero in third. Luke Peters in fourth in the Ford truck, and then Carter Casey fifth on fresh tires in the 11th position. But back up to your race leader, Lane Graves, who's on pit road now. We'll see where the 13 exits. Can he hang on to the race lead? Left side's up, left side's going to go back down, and out of his pit box is the 13 going straight out, cutting through all of those stalls and making his way back onto the racing surface, on the apron rather it is, going into turn 1, and there goes the 00 clean by him. It was either a very good stop for Jordan Kuntz, maybe a mistake made by the 91 or the 13 rather of Lane Graves on pit road, but nevertheless, Jordan Kuntz is going to be gone with the lead right now, 5 seconds back to Cody Webster. So the first car on fresh tires, but Cody Webster not on that old of tires, so this strategy really could work out for the 91. However, Jordan Kuntz is making up a lot of time on the number 91 machine here. Almost, oh wow, very, very fast as the 00. I didn't think it would be that much, but 6/10 already on this lap. So Cody Webster is going to have to feel the pressure from the 00 in about 4 or 5 laps time here, as they make their way back down the front straightaway. 23 laps into this race, the Fisher Studios 150 at the Brickyard. Thank you for watching now. It's Cody Webster is your race leader with Jordan Kuntz in second and Eric Heater in third. Michael Rosero follows them in fourth. Lane Graves in fifth. Luke Peters in sixth. Matthew Weeks and Carter Casey battling very closely for that 7th position. And that's Aaron Brown in ninth and Vinny Tigger rounding out your top 10. Cameron Perez tried to repair that right side damage and did just that on his pit stop. Still a little bit of scrapes and scratches on the right side of the 24. He sits at 11th, just ahead of Talon Drake and Rick Spencer Walt racing for the positions behind. And then it's Alec Daffin in the 14th spot behind Rick Spencer Walt in 13th, Mike Campbell in 15th and number 10. Sam Benson will follow them in 16th. Brian Russo, Ryan Kendrick Davis, Lewis and Bryce Saucier rounding out your top 20. Kyle Jackson, Corey Rexford, Jordan Parker, and Kalen Kerman, the final cars on the track, as Robert King has not completed a lap yet. He is just now getting back on the track, but a lot of damage for him, and he is very far behind the rest of the field, 4 laps down. To your race leader, Cody Webster, who now is having to hold off Jordan Kuntz, and look at the momentum gain for the 00. I mean, just as we went back to him in that split second, he made up almost 3/10 of a second. And Jordan Kuntz is closing very, very fast indeed now, as the 91 maybe breaking the draft a little bit, but that's definitely not going to be enough as Jordan Kuntz closes in very quickly to the 91. Now he's going to try and go to the bottom. Oh, big block by Cody Webster. May have been trying to give him the outside, but it didn't quite work at a 00. Almost ran into the back of him, and miscommunication by the two drivers racing for the lead. As we'll go back. Another look is going into turn 3. Jordan Kuntz tries to go to the bottom, and Cody Webster protects it. Almost contact, but great heads-up driving by Jordan Kuntz to miss him and complete the pass. And now driving away from the 91 is Eric Heater. He's going to be the next car to put the pressure on Cody Webster for that spot. So the lead pack heads back down the back straightaway, passing a lap car is Jordan Kuntz. That's the 65 machine of Jordan Parker in the 23rd spot, going 2 laps down with that move, allowing Jordan Kuntz by. Cody Webster still sits in second, but you see the 29, the 41, and the 13 here. Rosero and Graves making up lots of time on him. And now with the lap car in the way, he's gonna be a sitting duck down the straightaway. To the inside very quickly goes Eric Heater, and right around the 91 goes Eric Heater. And now, as we look to the rest of the field, the lap car getting into the wall, and it's a scruffle behind him, 3 wide with the lap car. You're right on board with the 41 on Mike Rosero, who's already long gone. Around that number 91 machine, and so is Lane Graves. These guys are starting to run away now. The main man who is running away, however, is Jordan Kuntz. Now has put on almost a 3-second lead to the rest of the field, and an absolute clinic at that. He has led all but 1 lap this race, and that 1 lap being the lap that he pitted. So Jordan Kuntz is doing a fantastic job and continues to put the gap on the rest of the field. 2.7 seconds to Eric Heater and Michael Rosero. These guys having a battle here of their own, looking for that second spot. 3 trucks in a bubble for the second spot is Heater, Rosero, and Graves. Cody Webster falling back very far, but won't feel any pressure for a while, as Luke Peters is very far behind him now, pulling to him for a move on the inside of Michael Rosero as Lane Graves on board with the 13 machine on the bottom lane, back to the gas quick, and Michael Rosero is going to have to defend on the top. He's going to have to squeeze him way down, get as far down in the corner as he can. Very early to the gas is Graves with the run off the corner, trying to get clear, and Michael Rosero, when he can't quite do it, is now on board with 41. You see the V3 Designs machine about clear of Michael Rosero, and as they go into turn 3, he's going to do just that. Rosero's going to slot in line, and he's not going to have anything for him. Lane Graves gets to the gas a lot quicker and pulls away from Michael Rosero. And Rosero will surrender the spot coming out of turn 4. Now letting Eric Heater pull away for a little bit, but Jordan Kuntz still pulling away even farther. And that number 00 machine, still about 2.8 seconds. Eric Heater, who is holding that gap steady, but he's about to feel the pressure from Lane Graves, who is a lot quicker right now on this short run than the 28 and the 41. These guys still just in the bubble. Lane Graves looking for the second spot again. As we look back behind these guys, it's Cody Webster still on the 5th spot, but very, very slow indeed, as the 4 truck of Luke Peters is going to look for a move on him now. And Luke Peters on board with that machine as he's going to go to the inside on Cody Webster now. And into turn 3, he's going to clear the number 91 machine into turn number 3. And absolutely pulling away already is Luke Peters now. Cody Webster going to have to fight with the 11 machine of Matthew Weeks, who is going to close in just behind him. In the 7th spot is the 11 now coming up for turn 4. He's going to have a run. He's going to try and go to the bottom. Protecting the inside is Cody Webster, but I believe the 11 might just get clear of him here as we go back to the gearbox cam and watch as the 11 gets clear of the 91 down into turn 1. And look at all that time that he's going to pull away with those old tires. Just not the strategy that Cody Webster wanted. Thought it would have been a lot better for him, and just dropping at such a fast rate now. Falling to the 7th spot, and he's going to quickly lose it to Carter Casey now if he's not careful. That teammate, the number 1 machine, followed by his teammate Vinny Tigger, the 91, the number 1, and the 99. All close here. Well, the 99 is a little farther back than I would have thought, as Aaron Brown and Cameron Perez race just behind them. This is for the 10th spot, as Aaron Brown and Cameron Perez, the Shaw Racing teammates, go at it. Back to the front of the field. Steady 2.7 second gap between Coots and Heater. 3.3 seconds back to Lane Graves, and then Michael Rosero, who is still trailing by about 0.2 to the 13, and then Luke Peters about 5 seconds behind them. But Jordan Kuntz continues to dominate from Indy. Look back at Eric Heater in second, followed by Lane Graves. You can see him just entering the bottom right of your screen here, dragging the wall into turn 3. A little bit of smoke coming off of the right side of the B3 Designs Chevrolet, and Eric Heater continues to hang on to the spot in the AlphaTauri number 28 Toyota. Into turn number 4, these guys holding a steady gap in between each other and to Jordan Kuntz, the race leader. Maybe trying to conserve some and try and do anything just to get to Jordan Kuntz's bumper. And we'll see. They're going to have to pit one more time in this race. We see one car way down to the inside. I believe that's Kalen Kerman rather, who entered pit road, but almost got into the wall. He got very low on the racetracks. He almost hit the wall right there, but nevertheless, no incident there for the 08, and he's going to drop to about 4 laps down if Jordan Kuntz can get back around and lap him. See the 00 now. He's going to have to face Kyle J. Jackson, the number 96 machine, heavily damaged early in the race. And he's going to lose another lap. Or rather, that will put him 1 lap down. But with that damage, he will not be 1 lap down for long. As the other car 1 lap down is Corey Rexford, about a half a lap around him, so no fight for that man. But behind the race leader, Eric Heater starting to make up time along with Lane Graves. In that 13 machine, he was looking all over the rear end of Eric Heater. Now he's going to go to the bottom and make a move down the front straightaway. Here they go into turn 1. Lane Graves is going to fly into turn 1, giving it up as Eric Heater. You heard him get off the gas a lot quicker. Now he's going to have something for him going back into turn 2. The 28 looking to the bottom, but Lane Graves just drives it in a lot deeper and is going to get a better corner exit. So Lane Graves easily into the 2nd position. And is going to now have the slipstream from the 96 machine going into turn 3. He's going to have to fight with him, be side by side maybe. Well, it's actually going to put the 28 of Eric Heater side by side into turn 3 and give Lane Graves a slight bit of advantage with pace. And now just 2.4 seconds behind Eric Coots is Lane Graves. So making up time is that 13 and the rest of the field behind him. Eric Heater as well, closing the gap to the race leader. Jordan Coots still just comfortable riding in the lead. Again, led every lap that he's been on the track and not in pit road, so it's comfortable, smooth sailing for Jordan Kuntz right now, just about halfway through. And we're going to take you to our Crank It Up. Coming back to you here on Fireball Talks NASCAR, Jordan Coots still leading ahead of the rest of the field by a wide margin over Lane Graves and Eric Heater as they just went around, I believe, the number 91 machine to take a lap from him. That's Cody Webster, who pitted earlier again. He may make it to the end, but I'm not quite sure. As you see, the number 91 on a complete different strategy from the rest of the field, getting back around Lane Graves, trying to take his lap back, as we saw how much he was losing time to the race leader and the rest of the field who were on fresher tires than him when he pitted early the first time. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there with our friend Lane Graves now dropping back into second. Still about 2 seconds behind the race leader, but gaining a lot of time as Lane Graves. And now we've got tire smoke ahead of Jordan Coons. Not sure what that was.
That's going to be Bryce Alcier. Got to thank everyone watching so far. River Page, a great shot as we get to lap number 34. And Bryce Alcier going to go down around into pit road. The Ford F-150 07 machine. It looks like, well, I joined a bit too late to find out why he's going down, but he got into a big incident. So if you can take a replay there, River, let's try to get an understanding of what's going on, because I'm not sure. I just got into this one. Carter Casey there in 7th passing by. Everyone's flying by the man in that number 07 machine, but Jordan Coons still leading the way.
He had a lot of damage, and he just blew up on the backstretch, it looks like.
It looks like the motor blowing after substantial accumulated damage. The man in that number 07 machine going to be down and out. Jordan Coons still leading the way down the back. He's got one lap machine right in front of him. That's going to be Cody Webster, the Petronas 91 machine. Now Webster, a Daytona winner, a 2.5-mile specialist. And right now, last time through, a 54.647. So he was a bit slower to the man in, well, no other driver.
Caution out on the track now.
You're right, yellow flag is going to be out as we get it going. We're going to try to find out who is involved in this incident. The iRacing official pace stroke, it's Cameron Perez. Perez is going to be down at around 36 laps in. Big time issue for him, and it looks like it involved Talon Drake in the 70.
Yeah, Cameron Perez had got damage earlier in the race and looks like, got into the grass in turn 2 and overcorrects and big into the outside wall. That's going to be heavy, heavy damage. Almost hit by, I believe, the 77 there, Ryan Kendrick, but avoids him nevertheless, and the 24 with heavy, heavy damage to the right side, and he'll have to get that fixed on pit road. But that's a big heartbreaker for Cameron Perez, who is having a very solid run and needed some good points in this race, and now he's going to be all the way in the back of the pack, repairing that number 24 as you see smoke coming out of the back end, and that is never good to see. He's going to be on pit road for a long, long time.
That is for certain. Cameron Perez is going to be on his way there in that number 24. And as he makes his way in, going to be able to keep himself going and perhaps will get some damage repaired. But no fast repairs in the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series. So he will be on the red line in one way or another. Everyone's going to get bunched up now as it looks like Talon Drake in the 70 is going to be good to go. He's got a bit of front-end damage after that incident, but he will not be murdered here when it comes to the truck's situation in terms of damage. That Toyota Tundra number 70 machine is going to keep it going. He's in 11th right now as we now get everyone stacking up. And now it's going to be pit road led in by Jordan Coots, Lane Graves, and then Eric Heater in third. They all come down and in this time. But Lane Graves is going to have a bit of a shunt there. They'll keep moving into pit road. How about this? 37 laps into this one, and we're almost there when it comes down to the checkered flag, and you'd see that man in the number 13. He's going to be able to get him to stall if Jordan Coots gets there, and it looks like they'll both be able to drag in. Eric Heater makes his way into his pit stall. So does Michael Rosero, and it looks like all top three in the pit stall is going to be able to make it. Lane Graves almost pits to stop, and it looks like they both did. And they're going to be able to run themselves out with a bit more time gained. Not what you want to see at all here in Indy, but it looks like they'll be able to keep it going. Who's going to get out of pit road first? Some guys already off. It looks like it's going to be the man of 13 nonetheless. Lane Graves out first.
Yeah, that's a great stop for Lane Graves. We saw a little bit of an issue on pit road for Jordan Coots as he went a little bit too deep into his box, had to put it into reverse and get back in. And that's going to be a big opportunity for the 13. We saw late in that run, right before the caution came out, was making up big chunks of time per lap on the 00. So now, last week's winner is going to try and go back-to-back, and he's going to have a great chance at it now. I believe these guys are going to make it to the end on fuel, so it's just going to be a run to the end, and Lane Graves is going to show off that pace that he had. So we see one or two cars still on the track right now. Aaron Brown and Cody Webster still being shown ahead of these guys. Cody Webster pitted a couple laps ago, so it's a big break for him. He won't have to worry about being on very, very old tires, but he's definitely going to have some laps on them, which is going to give an advantage to the rest of the field on the number 91.
And that's right for certain. Now, when we talk about laps and we talk about people who pitted, Bryce Alcier is disconnected from the session following his incident. Where's Motor Blue? And Jordan Parker got waved around the pace car, so extra drivers going to be involved in this battle as it stands. And it's going to be a total of 19 drivers on the lead lap. It's going to be Jordan Parker going down only 3 laps after this penalty, or rather this wave around to get him back there. And Cody Webster in the number 91 machine going to be the man on the top of the board this time through. It looks like that number 91 will be all the way to the point here. And with that alternate strategy, this is exactly what he needed. He might have wanted it a bit earlier, but now it is time for this number 91 to shine. Petronas leading the way here, as you can see, the number 8 machine. Shaw Racing, not the best night when it comes to damage. Aaron Brown going to have himself torn up as well. He's now going to be on the high side in second. They go double file this time by. It's going to be Lane Graves there in third, and Jordan Kuntz in fourth. And then Luke Peters rolls around in tow with the man in that number 11. That's going to be Matthew Weeks. So everyone getting themselves situated here in Indy. And the 91 going to be able to roll out in front as we have half a lap until this one gets going once again. 60 laps in total, and so far we're going to be able to get down to lap number 40 by the back straightaway and then into the front as the 91 leads to number 24.
Yes, we're going to go back green here with about 21 laps to go. Cody Webster and Aaron Brown, the two cars that stayed out. And I don't know about Aaron Brown, but I know Cody Webster put it about 5 or so laps before the yellow came out, so it's going to be very interesting to see if he's going to make it on fuel and if he's going to have the tires to compete with these guys for a long period of time and stay up at the front, as he lost a lot of positions on the alternate strategy on the first run, but a huge break for him nevertheless now. Next to Aaron Brown in second, that 8 machine, like you said, with some damage on his Shaw Racing Chevrolet, and it's going to be tough for him to stay up there with that damage, as the pace car is going to take the hard left turn back onto pit road, and we are going to go green again. Now, with 21 laps to go, the green flag back out as one car swerving onto pit road. That's the 28, but we'll go green here with 21 laps to go, crossing the line. Oh, the yellow got extended.
So this is going to be a bit of an odd situation. As you can see, Eric Heater dove in there, and I'm not sure why. And Corey Rexford, Davis Lewis does as well. And now a multitude of drivers are coming out of the same token. Kyle Jackson there, and this might be perhaps because these guys are going to run out of fuel. I'm just not sure what's going on here. As everyone comes down and in, Heater going to be on his way. You can see so many drivers coming out of the last second. And now the caution gets extended, and this is going to be a big shift in strategies. They come down, get extra improvements when it comes to their tire quality, and the drivers up in front are going to be in a lot of trouble now. Aaron Brown, Luke Peters already discussing it. This will be chaos, and some strategies will be in jeopardy as a result. And it's going to be fast times in Indianapolis when we get back to it this time through, as now with the caution being extended, these guys up front, they have older tires, and now everyone who came down to pit, including Eric Heater and the like, they've got that advantage, and they might be able to use it to get the victory. This could change everything.
Yeah, as we see, like you said, that could be for fuel. These guys did make it about 20 laps on the first run on their new tires and that full tank of gas, so we'll see if that's going to play into the hands of those guys that came in. And I'm assuming because these guys in the front didn't pit, it may not be an issue. Lane Graves, Jordan Kuntz staying out, but if those guys in the back pitted before fuel, I'm going to be worried about Cody Webster and Aaron Brown making it to the end. Guys who didn't pit on that last stop have a lot less fuel than the rest of the field, as we see. Now at the suspension, there's only about 4 cars on the outside row, everyone trying to get back stacked up quickly here. Is Cody Webster still in the lead, and we'll go back green here. This time it's going to be 20 laps to go. Everyone going good indeed as the people in the back shuffling about, but the 91 hangs on to the lead for the most part now, back down into turn number 1, and he's clear of the rest of the field.
And an easy run through to get through indeed, as he's going to be able to go into turn number 2, far and away your race leader. Lane Graves is going to be right there with Aaron Brown, and now Webster able to pull away. His tires getting cooled down more and more thanks to that extra qualifying, or rather that extra caution lap, and he's going to have to set some qualifying laps right now. He's got the entirety of the field chasing him down. They're going to be on his back, as you can see. Single file most of the way. The drivers who got those new tires still going to be in the back here, so not much has been made up just yet. We're going to look up to a driver such as, how about Eric Heater, one of the guys who went in that number 28 machine. He's going to be now in, it looks like, right behind Ryan Kendrick, so going to be about 15 spot for those guys, and the old tires might be the ones that reign supreme, as it's going to be a major lead for who else but the man in the 91, Webster, looking to go back-to-back on 2.5 mileage.
Yeah, and we see this guy shuffling all about behind him, everyone on fresh tires, and you see the 8 truck of Aaron Brown losing spots with that damage. Now he's going to get shuffled all the way back to 5th from 2nd on the restart. Jordan Kuntz in 4th, lost a spot to Matthew Weeks. Lane Graves, the first car on the freshest tires on the track, but still holding a steady gap to the 91, so definitely not the end of the world for Cody Webster. And like you said, the caution allowing him to cool down those tires, and he is going to stay up in front for the most part here. 4/10 back to Lane Graves. He's going to make up some time down the back straightaway, and he's going to lose some time into the corner. So definitely still, it's going to be Cody Webster in the lead very comfortably, not losing a lot of time as the rest of the field gets single filed out behind him.
And single filed out.
Oh,
It's going to be
spinning.
Webster in the wall there.
Overcorrecting.
And no spinning, it's down Brown.
And he saved it. Oh, he gets clobbered. Oh, he's in the pit wall. And someone is in the air, and there should be a yellow for that, I believe. But there's still green now, as Aaron Brown ends up spinning on the pit road, collecting one other driver, who is now towed onto the pit road, but no caution out for that. I think it's the 77 was the other truck that got collected, and that was Ryan Kendrick. Yeah, he's the other driver on pit road. We're going to see what happened there as we stay green. But here coming off of turn 4, to see the 8 is already spinning, and then turns back down the track, and the 77 gets launched into the air and into pit road. Lots of damage, and he tows, and that will be the end of the race for him and Aaron Brown, unless they can get a streak of yellows here. But coming back around still under a green flag is Lane Graves, who is taking the lead away from Cody Webster now. 2 cars, 3 cars. What happened to Cody Webster? Oh, I'm sorry, this timing and scoring is going crazy right now. Shows Cody Webster in 4th. Obviously he is your race leader, but now throwing a big block on the 13 of Lane Graves, going to take the lead back down into turn number 3.
And it looks like now Lane Graves might be the man out in front, but it's going to be Jordan Kuntz, as these guys are going to be cycling up and down every lap. It's going to be a big difference as they come down to the stripe. It looks like the double zero able to get by, and now Cody Webster, who was your leader, has fallen further and further down. Those old tires being caught up to Aaron Brown, going to be the next man of the Shaw Racing Cam to be down and out. Thankfully for the rest of the drivers, they went down pit road during that wreck, so they won't impact everyone else. Undeniable that this has gotten to be a pretty shaky circumstance for the man 91. He's going to hold on with the top 5 so far. Matthew Weeks going to be there in tow, and it looks like the next man behind the top 5, Rosero, then Vinny Tigner. It looks like the drivers who took that gamble have not paid off all too much just yet. Eric Heater, one of which he ran a 50.468 last time by. He's on pace for the leaders, if not a bit faster, but it's not enough to make something happen with how little time we have remaining. We'll see if the gamble pays off as the night goes on. It just might not.
Yeah, see, Eric Heater was, I believe, the first person to come off of pit road on an extended caution. He's almost 5 seconds behind the race leader in Jordan Kuntz right now, who made a pass down into turn number 1 to get back ahead of Lane Graves. And the man who has dominated this race so far is back out in front. Lane Graves had his moment of glory for a couple laps there, and so did the 91 of Cody Webster, but Jordan Kuntz is back out on top. And now, see Luke Peters going for a move on the 91, and he's going to complete that move, I believe, down into turn number 1. Just that edge on tires is going to be the death of the 91's top 3 in the lead performance here. As he drops to 5th now, he's going to have to fight to keep up with these guys and not lose time to the group behind him, led by Michael Rosero in the 41.
And Rosero going to be right there, of course, but it seems like the entirety of this lead pack is beginning to pull away. Lane Graves is going to go up to the high side there, and you can see it looks like the momentum starting to put himself together for the 13 machine. It's going to be Ford on Chevy out in front, and that Ford is hauling right now and trucking indeed, as we now have a total of 15 laps to go here in Indianapolis. Down to the inside line, it's going to be Matthew Weeks, and he's been waiting weeks to get a good run in at a long track such as Indianapolis, and tonight might just be his night. He hasn't won just yet, but he's getting closer and closer week after week. And don't deny a man like Matthew Weeks as they go 3 wide for the race lead. Jordan Kuntz there, and it's going to be a major run with momentum, but Kuntz going to be able to hold on. And you can see that Weeks going to fall down to 2nd on the high side using every inch he has. Side draft and the side forces get him back into 2nd, and the man up in front, the double zero machine of Jordan Kuntz, still is out in front indeed. Your points leader, your leader in the championship standings in the playoffs or not, going to be able to keep going as Cody Webster comes out of pit road this time by, and it looks like one other going to do just that as well. It's going to be 2 drivers going into pit road. Looks to be Mike Campbell and Cody Webster. Alternate strategy, one final time, might be putting itself in play. That could be what's going on, as we have a 1 stop to be made from here on out. And it could be made here, it could be made later. It's all to the drivers. So far, Jordan Kuntz is going to stay out.
As we see, those guys went 3 wide for the race lead for a very short period of time down the back stretch. But nevertheless, Jordan Kuntz is able to hold on. That put Matthew Weeks at 2nd. and Lane Graves falling all the way to the fourth to be right on board with Luke Peters in third. Watching the leaders jostle for position is the 00 of Jordan Kuntz, blocking Matthew Weeks all the way down to the pit wall on the front straightaway as this top four continues to battle out. And Michael Rosero in the fifth position has made up a lot of time on the rest of the field, and he's gained all the way to the back of this pack as he watches the leaders fight from the fifth position. Now back down to the bottom to block is the 00 defending the inside line, followed by the 4 of Luke Peters. Lane Graves staying to the top with the 11 of Matthew Weeks as they go back down here into 2 and 3. The 11 not going to have anything for him as the 00 continues to defend the bottom lane. And it seems like it's just been very hard to pass on the top, so the 00 doing all he can to hang on to the bottom line.
And holding on to the bottom line nice and smooth, every driver trying to do just that. Jordan Kuntz is going to be there with Luke Peters. Lane Graves is going to be in third now, and Matthew Weeks is in fourth. Rosero, he's made a hell of a job so far. A hell of a job has been done by the man in the 41. He's now in fifth, and you mentioned him, but also, in the same vein, mention that man, Vinny Tigner, the number 99 machine, going to be sixth on the board right now. He's catching up, getting closer and closer to the wits' end of the leaders, and he's going to be a thorn in their side. He's faster that time by through and throughout. 55.2 for him. Best man of this lead pack is set at 55.3. 10th after 10th he's gaining, and it looks like he's going to be able to be even faster than the man in that number 41, Michael Rosero, on top of the battle for the top 5's final spot, but not on top of the race so far. We got some guys in chat, guys and gals. Arch Emperor, thank you for stopping by. Fisher Studios and Bakugo fan 123, as it looks like it's been a 1-2-3 procedure for the Lane Graves machine in third, Luke Peters in second, and Jordan Kuntz in first. If you enjoy the action, make sure to leave a subscription and leave a like on the stream. Undeniable that so far it's been a Jordan Kuntz race, as now it's going to be Luke Peters going up to the high side here. No momentum with him, and he'll be able to carry himself, but not carry himself well enough. The 13 machine going to be down to the inside line nonetheless, and now Indianapolis seeing that double file group that you don't see all too often here. It's coming back in, and it's coming back with power. The 00 Jordan Kuntz going to be out in front this time through.
Yeah, as we see again a big block down to the bottom by the 4 of Luke Peters trying to hang on to second, but it's Lane Graves in the 13 rather, who now is going to try and put a move on the bottom of the 00 right all over his bumper into turn 3, but Jordan Kuntz continues to defend the bottom line, which has just been his strong suit. No one's been able to get to the inside of him to make the pass, as Luke Peters and Lane Graves go side by side for second, and this is just allowing the 00 to hang on to this lead for ever longer, as this time by it's going to be 10 laps to go. And these guys still racing like it's the final lap. And they are nose to tail all the way through fifth. And like you said, Vinny Tigner, who has made up a bunch of time, and as these guys keep racing, he's going to get right to the back of the 41 and stay in sixth. But still, single file now. Maybe we'll see another big block down the back straightaway, but it's calmed down nevertheless just a little bit, the battle for the lead.
And the battle for the lead has gotten itself very, very tight and tense, but it's now beginning to unwind once again. Jordan Kuntz has just been on another level tonight. Down to the inside line once more. He is just about as quick, if not quicker than Lane Graves, and that's without the draft. He has that clean air, a major advantage at most tracks, but tonight it looks like cutting through the air is much, much easier when you're doing it behind someone. Absolutely a great job for the Jordan Kuntz machine. Down to the inside line, Jordan Kuntz stays. The 00 goes through. Up in front, it's going to be him, Lane Graves, and you can see the top 6 now going to be in tow, as now it's going to be Eric Heater fighting with Alec Daffin and the man in the number 1 in Carter Casey. How about this? Way up high, it's going to be the 28 machine for Alpha Tauri, and he's going to be putting on an Alpha performance. Gets by the number 48 that time by. Now the next man for him to catch is Carter Casey. Out in front now, it's going to be a side-by-side maneuver. You can see it's going to be the 41 right there with the 11, and the 4 stays strong in Luke Peters, and the number 13 is chasing down Jordan Kuntz once again, but it does not appear that they are done battling, not in the slightest, as they come down once more, and Jordan Kuntz has a lot of pressure right behind him.
Indeed he does, as these two, first and second, Jordan Kuntz and Lane Graves, beginning to form a bit of a gap between Peters and Michael Rosero, the teammates, as now Michael Rosero drops to the bottom trying to make a move on Matthew Weeks for the 4th position. The leaders continuing to break the draft back down and up the track, slowing down the competitors behind them as Jordan Kuntz hangs on to the lead, just a couple of inches, or feet rather, separating the leaders, as Lane Graves is all over the back of Jordan Kuntz, waiting to make a move here with just 9 laps to go. This is getting down to the closing stages of this race, and these guys are as close as they've been all race, battling as hard as they've been all race, and now breaking the draft again all the way to the apron, almost into that grass on the backstretch goes Jordan Kuntz, separating himself and Lane Graves to the rest of the field by about a half a second is the gap now between Lane Graves in second and Luke Peters in third. As they make their way back through turns number 3 and 4 down the short chute in between the two is Jordan Kuntz, still with about a tenth of a second ahead of the 13, who is now backed off of the bumper of the 00 for a little bit. He could take a bit of a breather, now not really feeling that much of a pressure from the 13 as he has been the last couple of laps.
And it looks like now the top two able to pull away big time. Lane Graves get right to that back bumper once again. The 00, he is putting on a show in his own right, but he's got the 13 right there with him. These two drivers pushing at wit's end right now. They're capping the remainder of the field. That time by Michael Rosero, your man who's going to be in third this time around. He was about 0.2 of a second slower than Lane Graves and Jordan Kuntz. So even though these guys have a much bigger pack, and they will be absolutely able to put together more drafting in those straightaways, the turns where they lose all that time, these two have been on it every single lap, and it's no different as they come down and in once again. 54 laps out of 60. Looking back, it looks like it's going to be single file all the way. Eric Heater chasing down the battle between Tigner, Peters, and Matthew Weeks, and it's going to be Eric Heater in 7th right now. And despite all the progress he has made, it looks to be that he's a bit restrained right now, not able to make all too much happen in the thick of it. As you can see, Kalen Kerman going to be a bit damaged, and it looks like now about 15 drivers on the circuit, maybe a bit more than that as we go through the entirety of the cycle. But it's going to be the drivers up in front, led by Kuntz, and then the Lane Graves machine is that time by Michael Rosero, cutting himself a hole, and now he's a bit quicker than both the drivers in front of him, and he's a bit quicker than those behind him as well.
Yeah, Rosero has had the pace to beat so far this entire run as the two leaders start to pull away, but Rosero gets into the third spot and immediately starts to make up time and pull away from the guys behind him as Matthew Weeks very close to him now, trying to fight back and get that spot back. But Mike Rosero, like you said, has closed the gap very, very far between him and Jordan Kuntz, just about 0.8 of a second separating the 41 from the race leader and Lane Graves in second, who still sits about a tenth behind Jordan Kuntz, and the rest of the field filing behind him in a single file line. As they exit the corner, just about 5 or 6 trucks still left in this battle, and trying to make up all the positions they can now. With just 6 laps to go, Lane Graves sitting in the catbird seat, you could say, as he waits and tries to make a move on Jordan Kuntz with a couple laps to go, but saving his stuff up now and just getting the draft for the 00 down the straightaways. So we've got a big advantage for Lane Graves, and he's going to try to do something here with a couple laps to go in the closing stages to get the win done.
And getting the win done is, of course, the end goal with a total of 5 laps to go here in the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series, and these guys have been on the red line of the truck all night long. As a matter of fact, if I look on board with the man in that number 00 right now, I'm going to be pushing about 6,000 revs a minute through the turns and then getting it back out in front. Indianapolis is at Daytona's length, 2.5 miles, with almost the antithesis in the draft. It's very important in small packs, but when you get into a bigger pack, it's much harder to perform with. Getting up to 7,000, 7,200 revs a minute down the back. They go down to the inside line, faking each other out with a lot of defense. Almost like the Indianapolis Motor Raceway's most famous event, the Indy 500, the Indy cars that go there. They fake each other out, going down to the inside, going up to the outside in that same vein. So Jordan Kuntz going to go up high once again, and the 00 blocking in and out, and he's trying to cut that draft off like an Indy car as they now have 4 laps to go. This time by the 13 machine in tow, but it looks like now going to be side by side going for that race lead, as it's going to be Jordan Kuntz and the 13 of Lane Graves. And right now he's not laying back at all, as they are still out in front with a lot to go through, as they're going to be side by side through turn 2.
Yeah, as these guys keep fighting as hard as they can. Now the 13 is on the top. Oh, they've netcode and they're both wrecking. The leaders are crashing down the backstretch. The 00 now spins down to the bottom, and so does the 13, as very big netcode between the two leaders, and the caution is out. Oh man, heartbreak for both of them. And netcode strikes them down as they come onto turn 2. And what we mean by netcode is where the two drivers, it seemingly make contact without their trucks actually touching. As we see, they go through 1 and 2 very close. The 13 went to make a move into out of turn number 2. He's on the outside, about even with the race leader. And right here, as he's just, no contact at all. They just start to make contact and then back and forth with the netcode. And gets them both spun around, and that gives the lead to Michael Rosero.
I can't believe it. Heartbreak in the Brickyard. Lane Graves and Jordan Kuntz. And you looked at that incident once again. They did not start that with contact. And when you lose a truck like that, you're done. You're absolutely done. There's nothing more you can do. You get finished off. And undeniable. It just looks like it's going to be a major, major incident. And Jordan Kuntz there with Lane Graves. And they both make contact. And they're going to be all the way at the back of the lead lap here. And it's going to be Robert King getting right in front. And your leader now, after all that, is Michael Rosero in the number 41 machine. And I can't believe it. We just saw multiple cars hitting one another. And it comes down to it just like that. We got a new race leader. And we're going to have a new race length. I'm thinking we're going to have overtime here in Indianapolis. River, what are you thinking here when it comes to strategy?
Definitely. I think these guys are going to want to stay out. I believe all these guys up here have one more set of tires, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some takers on pit road. If the 41 goes, I think Matthew Weeks is going to go with him. But as you see, the 41 looking like he's going to go into pit road, maybe a fake, but he's going to stick with it. And everybody onto pit road, no people are going to stay out and try and hang on to the lead. We saw how much of a disadvantage it was with the 91 early on in the race on his older tires, just getting destroyed by the rest of the field on maybe 8-lap pressure tires. So tires mean the world, and everyone knows it. As the field comes back on into pit road, the 28 making his way into pit road, Matthew Weeks into his stall, the 4 of Peters in as well, and in
Talon Drake wrecks on pit road. He's going to get Lane Graves as well. It looks like it's going to be multiple drivers getting involved, and we are going to go have a first green-white checkered as Talon Drake going to spin on pit road. He's still spinning.
Oh man, he just reversed, he spun out and then reversed back out in front of the 13 of Lane Graves. And even more damage and adding insult to injury is the 70 to the 13 truck, who had a bunch of damage already, was going to restart in the tail end of the field, and then got some more front end damage from Talon Drake there. So let's try and get a read on what happened and why he spun out. It looks like he just gets into his stall and locks up the brakes and spins out and then puts it in reverse right in front of the 13, and even more damage for Lane Graves. So like I said, just adding insult to injury for Lane Graves. And the rest of the field exits pit road. It's Cody Webster shown as a leader, but now it's Michael Rosero, who is the first car on fresh tires, and it is Cody Webster out in front. And the strategy game has been Cody Webster's strong suit all day. He was the first car to pull onto pit road on the first run. The second run was the same way, and it got him into the front of the field. And now we'll see, I believe he's on a 2-tire strategy here, because I didn't see him stay out. He may be pulling onto pit road this time because he has damage on his truck. No, looks like he's going to stay out. So a big strategy call for Cody Webster. And David, how do you think this is going to work out?
Well, with Webster staying out in front, I think he knows what he's doing here. He went down to pit road during that green flag run, and he bet on just this, and it looks like a betting man going to come out on top twice over. Now we see that they passed the smoke from the Talon Drake incident, and you can see out in front, it's the number 91. It'll be a 2-lap dash from here, 5 flat miles to get this one done. And I think the Petronas number 91 machine is a good shot to make it so. Up on the high side here, it's going to be, it looks like the 41 of Michael Rosero. So a lot of experience here. And of course now, it looks like iRacing has given them the warning. And it seems like that warning is, you got to stay a little bit more in terms of complacency than aggression. If you get too close, it looks like you might just be out, and there's no 3-strike system. iRacing has its, of course, own physics calculation system determining where drivers are, and it looks like 2 drivers getting too close, and now the leaders might have to play by some much more strict rules. I tell you what, it's going to be a big challenge here with about backstretch to go.
Yeah, that's always been an issue with this with this iRacing NASCAR Truck Series truck in this game, and it's always been, you know, a thing about these trucks that if you get too close, that, like you said, the netcode, the iRacing physics system determining where your truck is on the track, 2 other players on the track with you, and they got a little too close there. And even though it doesn't look like those guys made contact, they definitely iRacing registered that they did, and so these guys are going to have to be pretty careful here and hoping that doesn't happen to them. As now the pace car lights are off. This is it. Overtime attempt number 1 of 3. Cody Webster's going to lead him to green with that right side damage on older tires. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes for Cody Webster. Michael Rosero, Matthew Weeks, Luke Peters, and Eric Keeter, the 4 trucks behind him on fresh tires, and that is your top 5. As the green flag drops and we're back underway, Barney the flagman drops the green, and 2 laps to go at Indianapolis. Cody Webster gets away well and clears the field, and he needs these guys to race hard behind them as they're doing just that into turn 1. But the 41 to the high side already around the 91. Very close indeed. And the 41's going to clear him. And out in front now is Mike Rosero by a big margin. Now contact between the 4 and the 91 off of 2.
And big contact off 2. Now Cody Webster falls down to the 3rd, and it'll be teammates out in front. Michael Rosero and the man right behind are going to be Luke Peters. How about that? Webster's falling further and further back. And it looks like right now not going to be able to clutch up as more and more drivers get right by him. And now they're going to be 3 wide. It's going to be Webster, Daffin, and Webster is going to be right between himself, Daffin, and Vinny Tigner now as he falls further and further back on old tires. It's going to be teammates 1, 2 out of 4 as they come down to the stripe this time by. If they make it there, it'll be official all the way. Here we go again. Going to be 1 lap to go in Indianapolis. 2.5 miles to get it done for Michael Rosero as he makes his way into turn number 1 there. Luke Peters, his only threat here. And these two, not only are their teammates, they also know what happened to the last drivers who, look at that. It's going to be Eric Heater going around. Number 28 machine in the wall. He's going to be able to save it. But now it's going to be, it looks like, a bit of time lost. And my apologies, it looked to be Matthew Weeks. Heater's still going there, and they're all fighting each other as hard as they can. With 10, down the back, the 4 machine with the 41. Michael Rosero going to be right there, and coming through 3 and 4. It's 2 teammates. If anything can happen, the last lunge going to be made down the Brickyard, America's most historic oval, and it looks like history meeting the future. The first time the Stock Car Racing League has seen Indianapolis, and it's going to come all down to this. Out of turn number 4, it's going to be the blue ovals dominating the big oval, as it is going to be Michael Rosero winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Fisher Studios 150.
Yeah, Mike Rosero did exactly what he needed to do on that last restart, and he jumped the gun on the number 91 who was on those old tires, and he made a great move and was followed closely by his teammate Luke Peters, and it's 1-2 for these guys who have been great all season, and it's the 2nd win of the year for Mike Rosero. Absolutely ecstatic for this guy, and did a great job today. Hung out in the middle of the field, was riding in 6th before that last caution came out, but he had a lot of pace in his truck, and you knew he was going to be one to watch, especially after the 2 most dominant guys in the field had wrecked out. And Mike Rosero gets it done at Indy. 60 laps, or rather 63 laps, have come down to this, and now doing a bit of a celebration with his teammate Luke Peters. And a great job for those guys. 1-2 here at Indianapolis.
And 1-2 at Indy indeed. Now the teammate's going to come home, and it looks like in the 3rd spot, Eric Heater, with all the trial and tribulation in his strategy, he comes home on the podium, as it's going to be Rosero burning it down as we get your race results on your screen. How about that for Michael Rosero? River, what do you think his key to victory was before we get him in, of course, for an interview?
Definitely, tires were very important in this race, and he did just that with saving them. As you see, a bunch of guys burning it down on the front stretch. He did a fantastic job of saving tires, and on that final run, he had a lot of pace and got on those fresh tires at a lot of speed. And like I said, with those 2 guys who had dominated the first almost 95% of the race were out, he was able to take advantage of that and put all his pace to the test. Ran 2 very fast laps, held off his teammate, and did a fantastic job at that. And he's going to bring it home here in Indianapolis. Try and get him in for an interview.
And bring it home in Indy, as we're going to get him in for an interview. How about that? 2nd win on the season. It looks like so far not going to be in a voice chat. We'll get him in just a moment. Michael Rosero comes home in 1st. Then it's going to be Luke Peters, of course, in 2nd. And then Eric Heater in 3rd. And we're going to get him in the waiting room right now. So, River, you can drag them in and get this one going. They should be coming in any moment now, as that's one thing that they, of course, don't want to miss. An interview here after such a hard-fought race. The Rosero motor going to blow, and the show put on, of course, by the man in that 41. We'll wait just a moment to get those interviews in. River, let's get the results page on the screen of the viewers.
All right, yeah, just give me 1 second as we will go through the results here today at Indianapolis. Great showing, great racing. The first part of the race was a little slow, but after that last run got underway, it was very intense indeed here as we get the results page open. And Michael Rosero from P3 on the grid initially will take home the win over his teammate Luke Peters from the 5th spot on the grid, about half a second behind him. Eric Heater qualified 8th. He will finish in the 3rd spot. Carter Casey all the way from 13th to 4th in the number 1 machine, just ahead of his teammate Vinny Tigner in the 99 machine, who will come home in 5th. Alec Daffin will come home in 6th. The number 48 machine, just behind him, was Davis Lewis in the 16, who came all the way from 25th to 7th there. A great run for him. Brian Russo from 17th to 8th in the 3 truck, who will finish in 8th. Talon Drake in 9th in the number 70, and Matthew Weeks losing 3 spots from his qualifying position with a late run incident, and he will come home in 10th.
And 10th for him is it's going to be the man in 11th, Jordan Kuntz, one of your dominators who ended up falling way short. Your pole hitter let an awful lot of laps, just not meant to be. 12th going to be Cody Webster with Sam Benton in the 13th spot. Corey Rexford going to be in 14th, and then Kyle Jackson, position number 15. Your last man on the lead lap, and from there on out, a sea of retirees. Going to be Lane Graves, Robert King, Jordan Parker, and then Kalen Kerman. Looks to be the man, or of course not the man, as Mike Campbell going to be right behind. Looks like iRacing failing me here. It's going to be Kalen Kerman in 19th, and the man in 20th is Mike Campbell. River, take it away from here on out. Got a few extra retirees to mention.
Aaron Brown qualified 10th, but as we saw that incident on pit road, never completed a lap after that. He finishes 20 laps down. Ryan Kendrick in the number 77, the other truck involved in that incident, who will finish 1 lap behind Aaron Brown in 22nd. Cameron Perez, a tough way to end his race, started up in the front, was in 4th, but falls back. He will finish 26 laps down in the 23rd spot. Bryce Saucier will finish 24th after a blown motor halfway through the event. Rick Spencer Walt, who quietly exited this race about 39 laps ago, and Joseph Jara, who did not make a lap around, will come home in 26, and that is the results page. And we'll try and get in Mike Rosero here for an interview now.
And it looks like Rosero going to be ready, so how about we get the man in that number 41 in position 1, able to get it done here in Indianapolis. How about that? And we'll get him in as soon as we can. The man in that number 1 spot. It looks like it all came down to that final restart. He's going to drag himself right back out. We'll get it back in this time. Michael Rosero, the top man on the board in Indianapolis, started 3rd. A hard-fought race all night long, and you come home winning at the end of the day. How do you feel after this one?
I feel honestly amazing, even though that win was kind of given to me, and we were really nowhere the whole race. I mean, I couldn't really save tires that well, but nonetheless, a win's a win. So I'm really good, feeling good tonight.
And feeling great after that one. It looks like strategy a very major factor, despite a few yellows at the tail end there. So how did you go about your strategy? Because it seems like you played it perfect.
Yeah. So when we got that caution, I knew I had to pit when everyone else stayed out, and then that really helped me because I was a lap good to the end while Lane and Coons were battling. So I was pretty sure that they were gonna have to pit, but we'll never know now because they both wrecked each other, and we were there at the right time.
And there at the right time, indeed. It looks like teamwork, making the dream work. 1-2 with you and Luke Peters. So do you guys have any involvement when it came to your strategy over perhaps the iRacing intercom, or was it all about playing it independent and a bit of fortuitous luck there for both of you?
Yeah, for sure. We were all both in the same VC during the race. We were just deciding on what strategy we should do, on how many tires we should take, how much fuel, all of that stuff. So, and I was really fortunate to have him behind me because that's what really gave us the 1-2 there.
And the 1-2 for the men in the blue ovals, taking on, as we said before, one of the biggest in the NASCAR scene. How about that? Michael Rosero out on top at Indy. The rest of the season, of course, coming right at us after this one. I believe the next race is going to be Richmond. How do you prepare for that?
It's Richmond? I thought it was Charlotte, but nonetheless, those are 2 pretty good tracks for me. I think I can maybe pull it off again, but we'll see. We will see.
And we will see indeed. Michael Rosero on the top of the board here in Indy. Any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to say? Anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all my teammates for helping me out this race. I really this race, and thank you guys for putting on a good broadcast tonight. You guys are amazing, and yeah, that's it.
And there we have it. Michael Rosero, an amazing drive in his own right. First on the board here from Talladega. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And there we have it. Michael Rosero going to be on his way. And the second man on the board, who else but his teammate there, coming in clutch. The blue ovals, the 4 and the 41. The number 4, Luke Peters, here with us right now. Second of the night. How do you feel after this 60-lap duel, which became about a 62-lap one?
Yeah, pretty good. My first top 3 of the season. I've had pretty bad luck so far, so it's good to finally get a good finish.
And getting a good finish here, so a lot of momentum to roll the ball on from here on out. What was the end goal for you? Because it seems like the strategy getting shifted and leaders getting almost evicted from the position they had. That really played a major factor in your late race success. What was the game plan from there on out?
Yeah, when we were on that run right before leaders wrecked, I was just trying to save fuel and make sure I can make it to the end because I was kind of close. I was hoping to just get a top 5, finish there, and then they wrecked. I knew I had to take tires because the tire fall off is like 2 or 3 seconds. So we all took, me and Michael and took 2 because we.
And sorry if we left you there. Anything else you'd like to add? Because it seems like you cut off a bit.
Yeah, sorry. We just thought it would be the best. Sorry, I'm terrible, but to take 2, and then try and defend from everyone else behind taking 4, which I think Carter took 4, and he finished like 4th.
So a bit of a diversion very late into this one, and nonetheless, it looks like what you took led you to success. At the end of the day, Richmond's up next on the schedule. So any final thoughts leading into it?
It's not my best track, but hopefully I can, get a decent finish there and keep continuing to get points after last week I got a DNF, so hopefully I can keep finishing races.
And that's what you'd hope to see as the man in that number 4 machine, Luke Peters, second of the night here. Anything else you'd like to add and any final thoughts overall?
Yeah, pretty good race. Yeah, and hopefully I can keep getting good finishes from here.
And there we have it, Luke Peters, second of the board tonight from Indianapolis. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Peter's going to be on his way. The final man on your podium wrap-up here, Eric Heater, getting it done in 3rd here from the Brickyard. How was it? Because it seems like you're able to get it really wound up just right at the tail end of it in, of course, the 150-mile event we had here tonight.
Yeah, I felt like I had good pace the entire race. I just wasn't able to get up front, mainly due to my bad starting position, at the beginning at least. I went for a risky call there towards the end to top off once we got the caution delayed. I knew I was going to be safe, and I knew I was going to be able to push to the end, so that was the idea behind it. But I just got a bad restart. I was stuck behind some lap cars that were kind of holding back about 2 seconds off the rest of the pack, so I had to get around them first and then kind of head down and make those 2 seconds back. Just didn't have enough time. I wasn't going to be able to contend for the win. I was probably going to finish around 5th or so. I was just kind of battling. Caution came out, luckily, and us in the top 3, we all decided to take 2 tires together. I knew I was going to be towards the end of it. I ended up being the last one to take 2. So I wasn't too optimistic. I felt like I was probably going to end up playing blocker for those guys, which I did, but I benefited a lot more than I thought I was going to. I was able to hold those 4 tires off and get it into 3rd place.
And able to hold off quite well at the tail end of it. Indeed, it seems like it was playing a bit of defense, but that defense keeps the offense on for you. A nice podium finish for one of the trickiest ovals of its size. Now, Richmond going to be next up on the schedule. Going to be a much different race, a change of pace indeed. How's it going to be there to get it done?
Yeah, I've had mixed results at Richmond in general. Sometimes I'll have winning pace. Sometimes I won't even be in the top 10. Kind of depends on how everyone else is, I guess. So we'll find out. I'll try my best, of course.
And of course, going to be there to try your best. And it looks like a great effort here. Of course, looking for the best spot, but 3rd ain't that bad indeed in the Fisher Studios 150. Any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thank you for broadcasting. I'm looking forward to the Xfinity race.
And of course, we are as well. Sunday going to be a fun day, but Saturday finishing off real strong in the Fisher Studios 150 at the Brickyard. Eric Heater, 3rd on the night. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And how about that here from Indianapolis? That's going to be your podium wrap-up. We got your race results, and Going to thank every viewer for watching tonight, and going to give a big thank you for River Page's support in getting this one on the road. Had to deal with a family emergency before we got this one going, and it looks like now we'll be smooth sailing for the rest of the season. We are good to go once more. River, to wrap this one off, any final thoughts?
No, just it was a great race. Had a lot of fun being up in the booth with you. This is a great group of guys. Racing is always super entertaining, and I've been here once before when I did one of the races, and both times were super enjoyable. And racing here, especially at the end, was great. And so I just thank these guys for having us up here broadcasting and showing us such great racing.
And great racing in the stock car Redline Truck Series. So when it comes down to it, next time we go live on Saturday night, it's going to be Richmond here in this series. And next time we go live overall, going to be, I actually do believe, tomorrow with the Fanta NR Cup Series. But iRacing will be back with the Integrity Racing League. And I believe it's going to be another road course coming on Tuesday. However, Monday going to be a much different story. We'll see y'all there for the Ignite and Octane series as we rev it up for another week of production on FTN. Thank you all for watching. Once more from River Page and David Greitz, this has been the broadcast booth for the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series Brickyard 150 presented by Fisher Studios. Thank you all for watching. We hope you have a great night.